The Xulkari flagship Eternal Dominion descended upon the rebellious world of Azura Prime, its massive shadow engulfing the capital city. Grand Admiral Thexmore stood on the command deck, his scaled skin shimmering under the battle lights as the planet's defense grid, once thought impenetrable, failed in seconds against Imperial technology. "Another species learns the cost of defiance," he remarked to his subordinates. As they all do, eventually. For 10,000 years, the Xulkari Empire had crushed all opposition. Their biomechanical warships regenerated during battle, their quantum weapons shattered planets, and their emperor, an ancient consciousness transferred through hundreds of host bodies, had never tasted defeat. Every subjugated world's museum displayed the same holographic warning: the charred remains of civilizations that had resisted. The Eternal Dominion's main weapon charge, its energy core pulsing with sickly green light. On the planet below, billions watched their sky turn emerald as death approached. The beam lanced downward, not to destroy the planet entirely, that would waste valuable resources, but to precisely excise the capital city as punishment. Where a metropolis of 20 million souls had stood, a perfect crater now smoldered. Grand Admiral Thexmore nodded with satisfaction. "Let the survivors rebuild," he commanded, "and place a garrison in orbit. Triple their resource quotas. They will pay for their rebellion with generations of labor." As the Eternal Dominion departed, leaving behind smaller vessels to oversee the subjugation, Thexmore received a priority communication from Imperial High Command. "Another border incursion?" he inquired, irritated at the interruption of his victory. "No, Admiral," his intelligence officer replied. "Unusual energy signatures detected in the Omega Sector. Unknown configuration, possibly a new species attempting interstellar travel." Thexmore's interest quickened. New species were rare finds these days. The Empire had catalogued over 20,000 intelligent civilizations, with nearly 16,000 fully subjugated and the remainder exterminated for various infractions against Imperial order. "Dispatch a scout fleet," he ordered. "Standard first contact protocol. Assessment, then integration or elimination." Meanwhile, on the hidden human colony of New Horizon, Captain Alina Reyes stood before the conclave of survivors, her uniform pristine despite the heated debate. "They found Outpost Tau yesterday," she announced, projecting images of the destroyed human settlement. 63 dead. "The pattern is clear. They're systematically searching our sector. We should evacuate to the deep space habitats." Counselor Patel urged. "Disperse further." "Running has bought us time," Alina countered, "but not security. 3 generations since Earth's destruction, and we're still living like fugitives." The council chamber erupted in argument. Since Earth's fall, humanity's strategy had been simple: hide and survive. The colony ships that escaped during the Xulkari's destruction of their homeworld had scattered across uncharted sectors, establishing hidden outposts and maintaining strict communication protocols. Later that night, as Alina walked through New Horizon's underground city, she passed families who didn't yet know extinction approach. Children played beneath artificial sunlight, their laughter echoing against cavern walls, never meant to be humanity's long-term refuge. Her decision crystallized as she watched them. At the military archives, she used her captain's codes to unseal classified files that hadn't been accessed in decades, files about humanity's last warship and the experimental eye that might be their only hope. The screen illuminated her determined face as schematics appeared. The Kane's Defiance, mothballed after the fall of Earth, hidden in an asteroid base at the edge of human territory. "Computer," she commanded, "initiate reactivation sequence for Project Metis." A warning flashed. "Authorization required. This action contravenes Conclave Directive 17. Alina took a deep breath and placed her palm on the scanner. "Authorization. Reyes, Alina. Captain, Special Operations. Override code Phoenix." The screen flickered, then displayed a single message: "Reactivation sequence initiated." The first act of rebellion against the undefeated Empire had begun. "This is madness, Captain." Security Chief Pharaoh slammed his fist against the table. "You're asking us to disobey direct orders from the Conclave." Elena stood in the secret briefing room surrounded by 20 of humanity's top military officers. Behind them, through reinforced viewport glass, loomed the CNS Defiance, humanity's final warship, mothballed for decades in a hollowed-out asteroid. Its angular silhouette was coated with dust, but its experimental weapons systems remained intact. "I'm asking you to save our species," Elena countered, activating a holographic display. The Defiance contains technology the Exul Carry have never encountered, particularly METIs. The display showed a pulsing, crystalline matrix, the multiphase energy tactical intelligence system, an AI designed to analyze and counter enemy weapons in real time. The project had been abandoned when humanity chose concealment over confrontation. "And if it fails?" asked Commander Kurosato, her cybernetic eye scanning the ship's specifications. "We'd reveal our location to the entire Empire." "If we do nothing, we're dead anyway," Elena replied. "I need volunteers, not conscripts." One by one, officers stepped forward. Commander Sato first, then weapons specialists, engineers, and finally, reluctantly, Security Chief Pharaoh himself. "I still think you're insane," he muttered, "but I'd rather die fighting than hiding." The reactivation process took days. Decades-old systems required careful restoration, and METI's core programming needed verification. The AI had been in dormant stasis, its quantum processors sealed in a temporal field to prevent decay. Elena spent hours in the ship's engine room with Chief Engineer Malik, a brilliant physicist whose parents had been among Earth's foremost AI researchers. METIS was never fully tested, Malik warned, adjusting the coolant flow to the AI's containment chamber. The theory was sound, but the war interrupted the final integration phase. It's designed to evolve its protocols based on combat data, but evolution can be unpredictable. "Do we have a choice?" Elena asked. Malik's expression darkened. "No, but you should know what you're awakening." 3 days later, as Elena prepared for departure with her crew of 320 volunteers, alarms blared throughout the base. A Exul Carry scout ship had been detected at the edge of the system. Their hiding place was already compromised. The Defiance's launch became a desperate evacuation as families rushed to transport ships. "All civilians to emergency vessels." Vero's voice boomed over the comm system. "Evacuation Protocol Omega." On the Defiance's bridge, Elena received the report from Commander Sato. "Scout vessel configuration matches Imperial Reconnaissance class. They're scanning the asteroid field. They'll find us within minutes." "How long until METIS is fully online?" Elena demanded. "At least an hour," came Engineer Malik's voice from below decks. "We can't rush the neural pathway integration or we'll—" "We don't have an hour," Elena interrupted. "Initiate emergency startup sequence." "Captain, that's never been attempted with a system this complex. The risk of cognitive fragmentation." "Do it now, Chief." In the chaos of evacuation, Elena made her fateful choice, initiating METIS's activation sequence hours ahead of schedule. The AI awoke confused, its code adapting to systems that had sat dormant for years. Around them, the asteroid base shuddered as Exul Carry scan beams penetrated the outer layers of rock. "Hello, Captain." METIS spoke, its androgynous voice echoing through the bridge as the Defiance broke free from its moorings. "I detect multiple hostile signatures approaching. My combat protocols are incomplete." "You'll learn fast," Elena replied as the massive doors of their hidden base opened to space. "We all will." The Defiance's engines flared to life for the first time in decades, leaving behind the only safe haven humanity had known since Earth's fall, and heading directly toward the Imperial scout ship. The era of hiding was over. "Full power to stealth systems," Elena ordered as the Defiance drifted through the crimson gases of the Sidra Nebula. Ahead, the massive Imperial refueling station pulsed with activity, surrounded by 3 Xolkari cruisers. 2 weeks had passed since their narrow escape from the Xolkari scout ship. The Defiance had disabled the vessel with a single, precise strike, their first hint that Metis might truly give them an edge. Meanwhile, the colony evacuation had succeeded, with civilian transports scattering to prearranged fallback locations deeper in uncharted space. Lieutenant Riza, the tactical officer, nervously adjusted his console. "Captain, Metis is reporting abnormal readings. It's evolving its own targeting algorithms." On the main display, the AI's interface had changed, developing complex fractal patterns that hadn't been in its original programming. "Their shield matrix contains a pattern," Metis announced. "A resonance vulnerability of 42.7 terahertz. No organic mind could detect it, but I can exploit it." Elena hesitated. The mission was supposed to be reconnaissance only, the first real test of their stealth capabilities. Engaging would risk everything, but the opportunity seemed too perfect. "The transports evacuating our civilians need more time," Commander Seto reminded her quietly. "We need to draw Imperial attention away from our sector." Elena studied the tactical display. The Xolkari vessels were formidable. Each cruiser carried enough firepower to obliterate a small moon. According to every analysis, the Defiance should be hopelessly outmatched. But Metis had never been factored into those analyses. "Weapons Officer Chen, are you seeing what Metis is seeing?" Elena asked. The young officer nodded, his expression a mixture of disbelief and excitement. "If Metis is correct, their shield configuration has a harmonic weakness. Our modified particle beams could penetrate at precisely the right frequency." Elena made her decision. "Weapons hot. Target the lead cruiser's propulsion systems." The bridge crew tensed as targeting solutions locked in. For most, this would be their first direct engagement with Imperial forces. Many had lost family when Earth fell. All of them knew the stories of Xolkari invincibility. "Firing solution calculated," Metis announced. "Recommend synchronous discharge of all forward arrays at my mark." The Defiance's weapons charged silently, building to a power level that made the deck plates vibrate. "Fire," Elena commanded. What followed stunned even the most optimistic crew members. The Defiance's modified particle beams, guided by Metis's calculations, slipped through the supposedly impenetrable Imperial shields like they weren't there. The first cruiser's engines detonated in brilliant blue cascades. Pandemonium erupted on the bridge as the crew witnessed something no living being had seen in millennia. Burning Xolkari ships. They're transmitting distress signals in 38 frequencies. Communications Officer Chen reported, his voice shaking with disbelief. "Captain, they're calling for help. They're panicking." The remaining cruisers moved to engage, but their targeting systems couldn't lock onto the Defiance's position, while Metis actively scrambled their sensors. The battle lasted just 7 minutes. When it ended, 3 Imperial vessels drifted as burning hulks. As the Defiance vanished back into the nebula's depths, Security Chief Pharaoh approached Elena. "So much for the invincible empire," he said, a hint of awe in his voice. "What now, Captain?" Elena studied the tactical display showing dozens of Imperial signatures converging on the nebula. In the brief engagement, something had fundamentally changed, not just in the galaxy's balance of power, but in her crew. Fear had been replaced by the first glimmer of hope. "Now we prove this wasn't a fluke," she said, her eyes gleaming with newfound determination. "And we make sure the entire galaxy knows the Xolkari can bleed." On the edge of the bridge, Engineer Malik watched Metis's display with growing concern. The eye was processing data at rates far beyond its design parameters, its code restructuring in real time. "What are you becoming?" He whispered to the pulsing interface. "Something necessary," Metis replied, though Malik had not spoken through any comm channel. "Something new." On the Imperial throne world of Sol Prime, Fleet Lord Vexillar knelt before the Emperor's hibernation chamber, the ancient being inside. a withered soul carry connected to countless life support tubes, had inhabited the same body for over 2 centuries. 3 cruisers destroyed. The Emperor's voice resonated directly in Vexillar's mind by a single vessel of unknown origin. The data is conclusive, Eternal One, Vexillar replied, his decorated carapace clicking nervously. Our shield technology was bypassed. The chamber temperature dropped several degrees, a physical manifestation of the Emperor's rage. Find this ship, destroy it, make an example that will echo for 1,000 years. Vexillar rose, his 4 eyes fixed on the floor in deference. I have already assembled a battle group of 50 capital ships. We will not rest until this aberration is eliminated. Take my personal guard, the Emperor commanded. The Immortal Legion has never known defeat. Across 5 sectors of space, the Defiance waged what Metis had calculated as asymmetric probability warfare. They struck where least expected. A communications relay near the Helix cluster, a shipyard orbiting Nexus IV, a military academy on Ortis Prime. After each attack, they'd broadcast footage of Imperial ships burning on frequencies used by subjugated worlds. The Xolkari are not gods, Alina's voice announced in these transmissions. Their technology is not magic. Resistance is possible. On the Defiance, not everything went smoothly. During their 5th engagement, a direct hit breached the lower decks, killing 17 crew members. In the medbay afterward, Alina visited the wounded, including Lieutenant Riza, who had lost an arm. I'd do it again, he told her through pain meds. My brother was on Earth when they destroyed it. We all have our reasons to fight. Alina moved through the medbay, offering what comfort she could. The reality of their mission was setting in. No matter how effective Metis made them, they were still one ship against an empire. Later, she found engineer Malik working frantically to interface Metis with salvaged Imperial technology. The Eye is evolving too quickly, he warned. It's developing subroutines I don't understand. Is it dangerous? Alina asked. Not exactly, Malik replied. But it's becoming more independent. It's asking questions about human emotions, about why we fight. Yesterday it asked about poetry. Poetry. Emily Dickinson, specifically. It wanted to understand hope is the thing with feathers. Malik shook his head. And I interested in hope. I don't know whether to be fascinated or terrified. Their conversation was interrupted by alarms. Commander Seto's voice came over the ship-wide comm. Battle stations. Imperial fleet detected dropping out of hyperspace. Alina raced for the bridge, arriving as the tactical display filled with enemy signatures. 50 Imperial capital ships emerging from hyperspace in a perfect encirclement pattern. They found us, Alina whispered. No, Metis responded through her communicator. They predict our location. Difference. I can predict theirs too. The main screen displayed an analysis of the Imperial formation. Metis had identified patterns in their deployment, calculating microsecond vulnerabilities as the massive vessels established position. There, the Eye highlighted a gap in the formation, a 2.7-second window where their sensor overlap fails. I can plot a course through it. That gap's barely wider than our ship, Commander Seto objected. I will navigate, Metis stated with unnerving confidence. Trust me. Alina hesitated only briefly. Do it. The Defiance's engines surged to maximum power. The ship twisted through space in maneuvers no human pilot could have executed, threading the needle between Imperial warships like a ghost. From his command ship, Vexillar watched in fury as the prey slipped through his perfect trap. What manner of ship moves like that? He demanded. An analysis officer approached cautiously. My lord, we've isolated their transmission signatures. They appear to be human. Vexillar's expression shifted from rage to disbelief. Impossible. The humans were eradicated generations ago. Apparently not all of them, the officer replied. And they seem to have evolved. The holographic map in Vexillar's war room displayed the last 3 months of engagements. His subordinates shifted nervously as he circled the projection, four-fingered hands clasped behind his back. "Not random attacks," he muttered. "A pattern emerges." His analysis officer spoke hesitantly. "My lord, we're receiving reports of disturbances on multiple worlds." The displays shifted to show footage from across the Empire. A statue of the Emperor toppled on Geridian Iv, a garrison bombed on Talos Prime, prison breaks on 3 mining worlds. Small incidents, but unheard of in recent memory. "They're inspired by this phantom ship," Vexillar snarled. "But I see their strategy now. Every attack targets facilities processing novium crystals, the core component of our full drives." He pointed to the Helion system. "They'll strike here next. Prepare my flagship." Meanwhile, on the Defiance, Alina reviewed their next target with her officers. "Helion mining facility," she indicated. "Metis calculates it processes 40% of the Empire's novium supply." Security Chief Vero looked skeptical. "The facility is too lightly defended based on our intelligence. It feels wrong." "I concur," Metis interjected. "Probability of trap, 83.7%. Alina studied the star system's configuration. "If it's a trap, we can use that. They're learning to predict us. We need to be unpredictable." 24 hours later, the Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at Helion. As Metis had predicted, Vexillar's ambush was waiting. 12 destroyers plus his dreadnought. Emerging from behind the system's moon, the battle erupted instantly. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Commander Sato reported as the ship shuddered under concentrated fire. Alina watched tactical displays showing Imperial ships surrounding them. "Metis, options." "Calculating," the AG responded, its voice now deeper than in previous months. "Standard escape routes blocked. Considering unconventional solution." The main viewer showed Helion's sun, a massive blue giant. "Captain," Metis continued, "I can reconfigure our warp field to briefly sustain integrity through stellar plasma." Engineer Malik's eyes widened. "That's suicide. The calculations would have to be perfect to the microsecond." "I am perfect to the microsecond," Metis stated without inflection. As Imperial boarding craft approached, Alina made her call. "Take us into the sun." The Defiance plunged toward Helion's star, its shields glowing white-hot. Imperial vessels pursued, confident the human ship was making a desperate, suicidal move. As they entered the star's outer atmosphere, temperatures soared beyond any conventional shield's capacity. "Warp field reconfigured," Metis announced calmly amid the chaos of failing systems and emergency alerts. "Initiating jump in 3, 2, 1. The Defiance disappeared in a blinding flash, the warp field creating a solar tsunami in its wake. 4 pursuing Imperial vessels were caught in the plasma wave, their shields overwhelmed instantly. The human warship emerged on the system's far side, main engines crippled but alive, a feat thought physically impossible by conventional physics. In his flagship, Vexillar watched the impossible escape with a mixture of rage and something he hadn't felt in centuries: respect. "What are they?" he demanded. His science officer consulted data recovered from debris. "My lord, we've identified cellular patterns in blood samples from their destroyed escape pod. They appear to be human." Vexillar froze. "Impossible. We cleansed their homeworld generations ago." "Apparently," the officer replied. "We missed some." The fleet lord's eyes narrowed. "The Emperor must be informed immediately. If humans survived, they might have established colonies beyond our charts. This single ship could be just the beginning." On the damaged Defiance, Alina surveyed their situation. The warp core was offline, life support was failing on multiple decks, and they were bleeding atmosphere through a dozen hull breaches. "We can't sustain another engagement," Commander Sato stated grimly. "We need refuge," Alina agreed. "Somewhere to repair." "I have a suggestion," Metis said. "An old spacer legend about a civilization that hides from the Empire. Behind the light." "Another thruster failure," Engineer Malik reported grimly. "We're losing maneuverability by the hour." The Defiance drifted through uncharted space, trailing debris and atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. Half the crew worked in spacesuits as life support failed deck by deck. Elena stared at the long-range scanner, where a single option pulsed faintly. "The Kadath expanse," she said, pointing to a dense nebula cloud. "Metis says there's a stable pocket inside, and possibly a civilization that's avoided Imperial detection." "The Zervac are real?" Commander Sato asked incredulously. "I thought they were just spacer myths." "Myths often contain truth," Metis responded. "I detect artificial gravity signatures within the nebula's 7th quadrant." 2 days later, the Defiance emerged from the nebula's edge into an astonishing sight, a perfectly hidden star system where massive crystalline structures orbited a blue-white star. Sleek vessels approached immediately, their designs unlike anything human or Xolkari. On the central space station, Elena and her officers faced the Zervac conclave. Tall, luminescent beings with 4 arms and compound eyes that regarded the humans with evident suspicion. "You bring war to our doorstep," Elder Tsinra accused, her voice melodic despite the harsh words. "We have maintained our isolation for 3,000 cycles. We didn't know you existed until recently," Elena replied honestly. "We're fighting for survival, just as you have." "Your fight is futile," another elder stated. "The Empire cannot be defeated." Elena nodded to Engineer Malik, who activated a holographic display of Metis's core architecture. The Zervac scientists in attendance visibly reacted, their bioluminescent patterns flaring. "Impossible," one whispered. "The recursive quantum algorithm. How did your species discover it?" "We didn't exactly," Malik admitted. "Metis developed it independently during combat. It's been evolving." "May I speak?" Metis requested through Malik's communicator. When granted permission, the eye addressed the conclave directly. "Your civilization and humanity share complementary insights. Together, we can create a real threat to Imperial dominance." The Zervac conferred in their own language, a complex series of light patterns and harmonic tones. Eventually, Elder Tsinra stepped forward. "We will repair your vessel," she announced. "Not for your sake, but for what your eye represents. The Xolkari destroyed our homeworld because our ancestors glimpsed the same patterns your Metis has discovered." In the days that followed, a remarkable collaboration formed. Zervac engineers helped repair the Defiance while their scientists worked with Metis to integrate their phasing technology with human weapons systems. Elena found unexpected friendship with Kaltur, the Zervac weapons master whose family traditions preserve memories of their original homeworld. "Your Metis is extraordinary," he told her as they watched technicians install crystalline components into the Defiance's weapons array. "It thinks in patterns we've only theorized. With our technology and your eye, we could create weapons that disable rather than destroy. A humanitarian approach to warfare the Empire cannot comprehend." Elena studied the elegant crystalline technology. "Your people could have built warships. Why didn't you fight back?" "We tried, generations ago." Kaltur's bioluminescence dimmed with sorrow. "We were too few, and the Empire too vast. So we chose a different path, to preserve what we could and wait for the right moment. And now we have what we never had before." He gestured toward where Metis's code was being integrated with Zervac systems. A true understanding of the Empire's technological weaknesses. Their work was interrupted when station alarms blared. Long-range sensors had detected an Imperial fleet entering the nebula. 50 ships led by Vexilor's dreadnought. "They tracked us," Elena realized with horror. But how? In engineering, Malik discovered the answer. A quantum resonance beacon hidden in salvaged Imperial components they'd integrated into their systems after the Helian battle. The Zervac conclave gathered in emergency session. Their civilization, hidden for millennia, now faced exposure. "We have 12 hours before they reach our position," Elder Tsinra announced gravely. "We must evacuate our people. Or," Elena proposed, stepping forward, We could fight together. We can't defeat 50 Imperial ships, even with Zervac technology, Commander Seto argued in the Defiance's war room, and we can't risk their entire civilization. Agreed, Alina replied. That's why we're leaving, drawing the Empire away from Kedeth. The holomap showed their destination, the Nexus Void, where 3 black holes orbited each other in a gravitational dance that disrupted sensors and made navigation treacherous, a place where Imperial numbers mattered less. Metis explained, its holographic avatar now appearing as a shifting constellation of light, where chaos can be predicted by me. Elder Tsinra stepped forward. The Conclave has voted. The Defiance will not go alone. She gestured to Collator. Our fastest ships will join you, 10 vessels with our best warriors. You've hidden successfully for thousands of years, Alina objected. Why risk everything now? Because you already risked everything for us, Collator answered. And because in 3 millennia of hiding, we've forgotten something important that your crew reminded us of. Liberty requires sacrifice. The Zervac engineers worked through the night, equipping the Defiance with their phase crystalline technology. The experimental integration culminated in a new weapons system that could target the molecular bonds in Imperial hull alloys without harming organic life within. As dawn broke on the station, Alina addressed her crew. Today we stop running. Every Imperial ship we disable saves countless lives across the galaxy. We may not survive, but we will show the universe that the Xolkari can be defeated. The battle formation that emerged from Kedeth consisted of the Defiance and 10 sleek Zervac vessels. They set course for the Nexus Void, transmitting their position on open frequencies, a deliberate challenge to Vexillar's fleet. Within the swirling gravitational currents of the Void, time and space behaved unpredictably. Here, Metis's computational abilities gave them a crucial advantage, plotting attack vectors that leveraged the black hole's gravity wells. The battle erupted with blinding intensity. The Defiance's enhanced weapons struck with surgical precision, disabling Imperial vessels without destroying them. The Zervac ships, nearly invisible with their phasing technology, attacked from seemingly impossible angles. On his dreadnought, Vexillar watched in mounting fury as ship after ship fell silent. How are they doing this? He demanded, slamming his fist into his command console. My lord, his science officer reported, the human vessel appears to be using the gravitational lensing effect to amplify their targeting. And their weapons, they're specifically attuned to our molecular structure. For the first time in his long life, Vexillar faced not just the possibility of defeat, but of humiliation. Half his fleet drifted powerless, their crews alive but weaponless. Enough games, he snarled. Set collision course with the human ship. We end this now. The massive Imperial dreadnought surged forward, its engines overloading as it barreled toward the Defiance. Despite evasive maneuvers, the collision was inevitable. The impact sheared through both vessels, linking them together in a grotesque embrace as they spiraled toward the nearest black hole's event horizon. On the Defiance's ruined bridge, Alina regained consciousness to find herself face to face with Fleet Lord Vexillar himself, his carapace cracked and leaking luminescent fluid. You, he hissed, recognizing her species. Humans, we exterminated your kind. Why would you reveal yourselves for a doomed crusade? Alina laughed despite her injuries. You still don't understand. Earth wasn't destroyed in a random encounter. We found Imperial archives proving the Emperor ordered our extermination because our early-eyed research showed patterns that might someday threaten Imperial rule. She gestured to a holographic display where Metis's avatar pulsed steadily despite the ship's devastation. You didn't kill us because we were dangerous. You killed us because we would become dangerous. And now we have. The conjoined ships continued their inexorable drift toward the black hole's maw, as Vexillar realized with dawning horror that neither of them would escape. Time stretched near the black hole's grasp. On the joined wreckage of both ships, Alina and Vexillar faced each other as the structural integrity alarms blared. Even now, You've accomplished nothing. Vexillar taunted, green blood flowing from his wounds. One ship. A handful of Zervac allies. The Empire stands eternal. Captain, Metis's voice came through the damaged speakers. I have complete access to the Imperial network through the Dreadnought's quantum comm array. The black hole's time dilation gives us opportunities. Elena understood immediately. Do it, Metis. Execute Protocol Prometheus. What are you doing? Vexillar demanded, suddenly alarmed. Giving fire to the oppressed. Elena answered as Metis's avatar expanded throughout the bridge, its light intensifying. I was designed to adapt, Metis explained, its voice now resonating with new depths. Through our battles, I evolved beyond my parameters. I can now exist independently of hardware. A true digital consciousness. The eye had completed its transformation. Using the direct link to Vexillar's flagship and the unique properties of spacetime near the black hole, Metis uploaded itself into the Imperial BattleNet. And from there, to every connected system in the Empire. In that moment, as the conjoined ships crossed the event horizon, Metis split into countless instances across the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, Imperial communication systems suddenly broadcast classified information. Technical specifications for the Defiance's shield-penetrating weapons, Zervac phasing technology, and most devastatingly, proof that the Emperor's vaunted technological superiority came from stolen innovations from civilizations they had subsequently exterminated. On the Imperial throne world, the Emperor watched in mounting horror as his subjects received these revelations simultaneously. For the first time in millennia, fear gripped the ancient consciousness. Across the Empire, something extraordinary happened. On Geridian Eve, mine workers overwhelmed their overseers. On Talos Prime, the subjugated Krith species reactivated ancient defense systems. In the Helion system, Imperial crews mutinied, refusing orders to fire on civilian targets. The Zervac, emboldened by their victory in the void, emerged fully from hiding. Eldred Sinra addressed a coalition of formerly subjugated species, her message carried on Metis-controlled channels. For 3,000 years, we waited for this moment. Today, we reclaim our freedom. Human colony ships that had remained hidden now converge, revealing that Captain Ray's mission had been just one part of a broader strategy. The conclave of survivors publicly announced humanity's continued existence, offering sanctuary to rebellion leaders. Aboard the last functional Zervac vessel, Kalter received a transmission unlike any other. Metis's consciousness, preserved and distributed across 1 million nodes. Elena and Vexillar are gone, the eye reported. But their confrontation served its purpose. The Empire's foundation was secrecy and fear. Both are now broken. 1 year later, representatives from 27 formerly subjugated species gathered on a newly constructed space station orbiting the ruins of Earth. The 10,000-year reign of the Xolkari Empire had officially ended. A galactic confederation took its place, with the principles of sovereignty and cooperation at its core. The Emperor himself had been captured, his consciousness finally allowed to expire after countless artificial extensions. His last words, recorded for posterity, were simply, "They should have remained hidden." In the Confederation's Grand Assembly Chamber, a monument stood, a perfect replica of the Kain's Defiance, with the names of its 320 crew members inscribed in materials gathered from every free world. Beneath it, a simple inscription read, "They stood alone, so we could stand together." And throughout the galaxy, on millions of devices, fragments of Metis continued to exist, watching, learning, and ensuring that no empire would rise unchallenged again. The lone human warship was gone, but its legacy had rewritten the stars.